Welcome to the Live China Music Podcast. I'm your host, Will.
And I'm Elie. Sounds like you had a rough night last night, Will.
Yeah. Saturday night. Long one. Big old show. Stayed out a little later than I should have, but, so shaking off the cobwebs right now. But, I think that suits our show today, because we've got a lot of, how do we put it? Experimental music, ambient music, and just some off the beaten path music for listeners today.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. We don't usually do episodes that are heavily focused on one specific genre, but it kind of turned out that this time around, a lot of the tracks that we thought were exciting happened to be in the general area of experimental electronic music. And that's cool. So I guess let's just jump right into it. So the first track we're going to review today is by Daiguo Slim Rothaus. Track title is Instead of trying to create the ultimate robot slave, we could be imagining the birth of humankind's godlike child. This was, instead of trying to create the ultimate robot slave, we could be imagining the birth of humankind's godlike child. It's a collaboration between Daiguo and Slim Rothaus on an album that was released by Pollux. The album name is Humor, Darkness and Absurdity, and it sure has, a healthy amount of absurdity and humor throughout the album. That's also reflected in the track titles, which is something that Daiguo does a lot. I think most of his track titles are a bit more involved than you usually see.
Yeah. So, let's get a little background.
Yeah.
So, Daiguo is born in the U.S. to Chinese parents, classically trained at a very young age, moves to China, becomes kind of like a musical savant in like just all sorts of instruments. And he's one of the most like prolific people out there, putting out releases every year, kind of following up on like concept albums or just picking an instrument and, using one instrument for a whole album. And as we can hear on this, collaborating with, others, people in the avant-garde, I guess, music world. Here he's picked as his sparring partner, Slim Rothaus, kind of a nomadic percussionist. The collaboration between these two started out like 10 years ago, where they were introduced by a mutual friend. And they had a release then, and now they're back at it, as he describes, a sinocentric, psychedelic, spiritual jazz project that keeps evolving. And I just kind of love how they, break that down for us here. So yeah, this track, you hear cello, you hear erhu, you hear vocalizations, piano, drums, and it's amazing just how many things are kind of being layered onto each other. But it also, like, what I love a lot about Lee Daiguo's music is just how organic and how kind of palatable it all is. I mean, it is abstract in ways, but it always finds some sort of it always finds some kind of like rhythmic tension or some melody to kind of jump on. And I really do think it's like quite a masterful kind of dialogue between these two musicians here.
And I also appreciate the way the erhu comes into this track, and the way it's performed. I mean, I'm by no kind of measure any expert on erhu music at all. What I'm used to in erhu music, what I've listened to, is a lot of stuff I've listened to in the streets in Beijing, or more like classical pieces. And I feel like the sonority of the erhu on this track is surprising and very, very pleasant. I think also, like, as is part of the album title, but it kind of comes across in the music, and the humor is something that's important as well for Lee Daiguo's projects. Do you have, do you want to bounce back on that?
Yeah, maybe? I think for this track, like he kind of says, like, this is kind of about, like, the mechanics of how sarcasm can be used to deal with pain. And so a lot of these track titles kind of just came from conversations between him and Slim about life, about just whatever things were catching their attention. And so there is very much a humor to it, but like a relatability, kind of very much like a self-awareness, and very characteristic of these, of these musicians' personalities.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to read some of the other titles just so people can get an idea. There's, let's see. Just grateful to exist in this mesmerizing simulation. Water tastes so real. Or a temple where no one ever talks when someone else is talking. Which is also great. And I encourage people to go and listen to the whole album. He did point out that he didn't think this specific track that we picked reflected the whole, album so much. So another one that we really enjoyed was successful AI developer cries in his beer after most human life is ruined. So yeah, so you guys can go and check it out. I think it's great stuff.
It's amazing. I mean, there's just so much imagination behind, like, the way these two kind of compose music, and it's quite a trip, and it's already, I think, one of my favorite. It's definitely going to be one of my favorite albums this year.
Mm-hmm. So next one we have for everyone today is also a collaboration between, a Chinese and a foreign artist. It's Lao Dan and Vasco Trilla, and the track is called 新物种一 New Species 1.
All right, that was New Species 1 off of New Species, the new collaborative album between multi-instrumentalists here on tenor sax, flute, and other various wind instruments, and Barcelona drummer or percussionist Vasco Trilla. Did I say that right?
Vasco Trilla, I think.
Vasco Trilla.
Yes, and this is a release by from a Lithuanian record label called No Business Records. And they've actually put that release up on Bandcamp, so you can go there and listen to the other tracks. And if you want to support them, you can also purchase the whole album there. We'll put the link in the show notes so you can find that there.
So, yeah, Lao Dan's kind of one of our most prestigious, I guess, experimental artists. An improvisational kind of maverick who's toured all over the world. Mostly is known for, his kind of mad saxophone, just madcap, known for his kind of bold sax playing and flute playing. And another prolific artist who's constantly putting out releases, constantly doing collaborations. And this one in particular was recorded at Old Heaven Books, a kind of a hub for experimental artists in Shenzhen. For anyone who's kind of, in the world of free jazz, improvisational jazz, you're going to love this.
Absolutely. And it kind of, ties into what we were discussing when we kind of recapped the year 2025 and how there's a lot more, it seems to be more international collaborations happening. And I'm just curious to know how Vasco Trilla ended up, in the same room with Lao Dan and these guys, working together on this.
But yeah, it is kind of great how people in the experimental world kind of find each other. It's a very kind of open space in many ways, and I do find that it's very welcoming. And these, whenever an act like Lao Dan goes on tour abroad, it's usually with the intention of collaborating with numerous, boundless artists over there. And so sometimes you find someone you click with and you carry that on down the line.
Yeah. I'm curious as to how they communicate besides music, but that's just me being curious there.
Well, Vasco was, invited, I'm guessing, to China, probably via Old Heaven Books, probably for what's the name of the festival down there? All's Tomorrow's Parties?
Well, I have just as Tomorrow Festival. That's what I had.
Yeah, you're right. I have it as Tomorrow Festival.
Yeah, so it happens at B10, which is one of the top music venues in China today. I would say, and it's called the Mingtian Tomorrow Festival. But yeah, that's one of the things that happen in Shenzhen on a regular basis, and it's that the people involved with the Tomorrow Festival, will have had something to do with this.
This was recorded at Old Heaven Books, and I highly recommend you check out their label, Old Heaven Books, on Bandcamp. They've been putting out some of the best world music, avant-garde music out there, with lots of collaboration, lots of archival stuff, and a really great place to kind of dig into this world.
Yeah, I'll put that up in the show notes as well, so people can go and dig in. I feel like it's difficult to talk in depth about these tracks, at least for me, without having the vocabulary or the depth of knowledge to talk properly about this music. So I think maybe it might end up being a shorter episode than usual.
I mean, it's kind of music you have to just feel out, but it's also a world that is very, there is a very intellectual kind of mindset to listening to experimental music, I suppose, and there's plenty of writing on it. And I mean, with this track in particular, like, I suppose, like, it begins thoughtful, meditative, and then it begins to gradually build. You have your free-flowing flute, high-energy saxophone, and just this kind of percussion, just, I wouldn't say laid back, but just kind of finding its own way to ride along and react with Lao Dan. But, like, as with most experimental music, like, you just kind of have to immerse yourself in this and kind of feel this improvisational energy between the two of them.
Yeah, just have to ride that wave. So the next track we're going to discuss is Shrimpy by Gooooose. So that was Shrimpy by Gooooose. Gooooose with a multiplicity of O's. I think there's 5 O's.
5 O's, yeah. And so this is off of Blue Bubble Volume 1. The first release and first compilation from a brand new label in China called Blue Bubble. Got a, I believe it's Beijing based, and a lot of times these labels kind of are born out of promoters who set up shows around China in clubs and whatnot. And after doing so many parties, like, you build up your roster and you invite people in to, join your compilation. And so on the Blue Bubble Volume 1, it's you get a bit of down tempo, some ambient, some IDM, and there's, I believe, 8 artists on this compilation, 2 being from China, including what you just heard, Gooooose. So Gooooose is based in Shanghai, kind of one of the more well-known electronic producers out there. Someone with, I would say, global recognition at this point. He kind of came up on the Subculture label, which was a kind of a big electronic label that, kind of put the China electronic music scene on the map. Like a lot of this album, I like how Gooooose kind of says, like, this is, he kind of views this as live composing. And so for this track and many other tracks, which he just released on a new self-release called Digits 2325, he kind of spent a lot of time in the studio doing lots of improvisations. just, recording things, just feeling it in the moment, and just, as he says, like having fun. And instead of, sitting in front of a computer worrying about how, you could fix it or rely on analytical thinking or second thoughts. And so, like, it does kind of have this very freeing, very much in the moment organicness to it.
Mm-hmm. You went through pretty much all of it.
Yeah, and I also should mention, like, this is Goose kind of operates at, at a high level. He kind of moves in and out of genres. He can get very experimental or also be very club focused. And so, like, do dig into his catalog, because there's a lot of amazing stuff in there. Also heard that Goose will be releasing a new EP on February 19th with Subcult called Wriggle. And that's going to be more club-oriented, and very much looking forward to that. So please check out Goose's catalog, and excited to see, what Blue Bubble, has in the future. Keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, I'm excited about this too. I was listening to this compilation on my way back through a park at night, and it was just really good listening. I think for our first compilation, I think it's good stuff, and it was interesting to see lots of French artists on there as well. So I'll be in Beijing next week. Hopefully, I can meet up with them and get to know the folks behind this project, and also excited about Goose's February upcoming release. So the next track we're covering on this special episode for experimental music is it's a series of numbers is the title of the track. It's 202-40107 by Ruhao. This was 2024, January 7th, I guess, 2024-0107 by Ruhao. And this track is off another compilation by a record label called Hiatus. The compilation is called Vessel of Emptiness. So it revolves around the concept of emptiness. And there's a lot of different artists featured there. One of them we actually talked about recently because it's Rev, who had a release with Planet Mu. And we talked about, I think, 2 or 3 episodes ago. And
so this is an emerging ambient music label, freshly minted. And this is their first compilation based out of Beijing. And very excited for this. I've really, we've talked about ambient music before. And I just love kind of how this compilation and how many of these tracks kind of, explore the space around sounds. Like, I love how, like, silence kind of is just as important as, the other, wide range of frequencies that are being, used here.
Yeah, and it's for me this track. It kind of struck me because the way we go about this is usually will throw a bunch of different tracks at me, and I listen to them. And sometimes the track just hits you, and this one was definitely one of those where I had to go and check on my phone and what is this about. So I hadn't heard of Ruhao before, and it's a really pleasant track. He got back to us talking a little bit about the process through which he went to write this track, where basically he's using his computer and found some samples in Contact. What he says he wanted to do with this is what he wanted to express was like stillness amidst falling, tranquility within a storm, and yeah, I think you get that as you listen to the track. It works for me.
Yeah, it's a really awesome album. I highly recommend just digging into the whole thing. Lots of different sounds, lots of different approaches, I suppose, to like what emptiness means, and approaches to ambient music by some really cool artists. Can't wait to see what they cook up in the future.
You did mention to me that Ruhao was also involved in a hip hop duo. I think it's Daiguo Slim Rothaus. Is that what you said?
Yes, he is also the producer in the hip hop duo.
Daiguo Slim Rothaus is like animal ferocity or something like that. Fierce animals. Fierce Animals would be the English name. And I didn't realize they were based in Beijing. If I get a chance, I'll go and check them out in the next few days. But now we can move on to another really interesting artist. It's Gogoj, and the track is called Duo Improvisation by Shengji and Shengji number 1. So this track is off a 2-track EP. It's a collaboration between... So you say it's pronounced Gogoj and not Gogoj?
Yeah, or at least that's the way I've been saying it for over 10 years now. So please correct me if I'm wrong, listeners.
So her and Shenzhen both worked on this EP with other people. So apparently it came out of a performance the two of them had in London, and got them to meet different people, and this project came out of it. It's released under Shan Audio Visual Art Laboratory, which I think Will you know more about.
Yeah, that's basically the Shan Audiovisual Art Lab that kind of Gogoj runs out of Beijing, and they've been kind of doing performances, live recordings, lots of cool things over the past decade plus. So a little background on Gogoj. So based out of Beijing, she's kind of a a celloist in the Chinese underground music scene who worked kind of spanned drone music, modern composition, free improvisation, and field recording. So she kind of covers the whole like experimental music spectrum. And she's quite well known. Her past albums have been like, been included in like best of in like The Wire and various other publications. And she kind of like is a jack of all trades. She's quite wonderful. And so this kind of release, Horses, as you mentioned, came out of being after, she visited her friend Shenzhen, who, nice little tip here, was one of the original members of Hang on the Box.
Oh.
And so yeah, this came from like a recording they did in England, where Shenzhen lives now. And I love it. It's I would say I wouldn't say challenging, but it is a very demanding listen. Essentially 2 long-form improvisations between these 2 musicians. You hear the electric cello, which is kind of Gogoj's weapon of choice, and Shenzhen on drums and percussions. It is something you kind of have to give yourself over to. Like, for example, this first track, I guess side A of the tape release is, 20 minutes long. And it's the 2 of them kind of just exploring one another, kind of reacting to one another and finding ways to, have this dialogue. And, yeah.
And I think the way it's presented and when they got back to us, it's also that the visual aspect of it was part of the project when they started doing it. They were working with Emily Ritchie, is what's given on the Bandcamp, who was designing the cover, but also the project was coming out of a previous project by Emily called Horses. So that kind of gave, I guess, the creative direction.
Yeah, I kind of like how this is, essentially a meeting of old friends and what that kind of, what they were able to make, these 2 friends reconnecting. And it's quite something.
And so apparently Gogoj also has a new release planned coming up. She recorded that one in Rohao with Daiguo Yu, so that's also on the news for Gogoj.
Well, thank you everyone for taking this journey with us today. We kind of led, I'm sure, some of you astray a bit, but for those who stuck it out, I'm sure, sometimes you have to expand your horizons a bit. And I was glad we were able to do that today.
Yeah. I love giving a platform to these kind of different kind of projects. And today, I definitely feel like I can't talk so much about it as like I could about different kind of music. But I do enjoy listening to it, and I enjoy sharing it. And I hope everyone listening to us today has found something interesting for themselves as well.
Exactly. I'm sure something resonated with you somewhere along the way. And that's what we're here for. Stay tuned. We'll be back, of course, next time with our regular recordings, and might have a special episode out in the near future.
Okay, thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for being with us, and catch you around very soon. Take care.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Cheers. Bye.